guys, good evening. Welcome to this series. In this series, we will be talking about Cypress with TypeScript. So let's begin. What you need to have, the prerequisite for this course. If you want to journey with us, is going to be for you to have Node installed, Node and npm. So for here, I'm just going to test that there is Node and npm installed on this machine, so it doesn't matter the version. Just make sure you're running something latest, at least from version 18 and above, or 16. It's going to be all right. So if you just go and check npm as well package, just to make sure you've got these two are your basic prerequisite. Also make sure that you have any code editor. For me, I'm using something like VS Code. So for me, I've already got it set up. So once I press code.type, it just gives me this VS Code and brand new thing that like a blank canvas where I can just write my code. So these are just the critical prerequisite really I think you need to have to follow along with us. Otherwise, let's dive into it. So what's the first thing we need to do? Let's create a directory where we can make this project. So I'll just type mk directory -p here, and I'll just call it probably, let's say, Cypress TypeScript. Let's say starter, something like that. Press and enter, and I'm gonna get into it. I'll just do that, and I'm in here. I'm just gonna clear my screen. So the first thing I need to do is to convert this directory that we just created, just convert it to an npm project. How do you do that? Basically, just type npm init -y, obviously, because I haven't got time to go through to obviously provide those questions. With -y, it gives you the default options. So I'll press and enter. It just give me everything else I need. So now that I've created that, I can actually just open it up on a VS Code, as we said. If I open it up here, just cancel that one and just go here. You can see we just get this. This essentially means that this is now like an npm project. There's nothing here. You can see there's no description, nothing. These are just basic things. We can just delete that or do whatever it is we want. Now let's begin to install things we need. Obviously now we are inside of this project, but let's begin to install things. So I'm going to clear this now. The first thing I would like to install is going to be npm install. I will install TypeScript as a package, and I will just say save dev. Obviously I'm just installing this as a dev dependency. You can install it however you want to do, but if you go back to this now, let's max this a little bit out. You can see that TypeScript is now installed, at least the latest version as of the time of recording. It's 5.6.3. so just do that. I mean, that's okay for you if you want to use that. Now the next thing we want to do, obviously I quite like to have node types when I'm obviously, so that I can suggest a few things for me, because TypeScript has this implicit, explicit, and ambient types. The ambient types are the types that get added to the global execution scope. So since we are using Node, it would be good for us if we could just get type safe and autocompletion in Node API like that. So I mean, people still use it, but if you want to, for now, this is not mandatory. But I like to have npm install. Here I'll say add type, and I'll do that. So this is called types node, and save dev as well. So I just want to get this package installed as well. So you can see this is type node as well for the auto completion for me. Now that this is now fully installed, now it is time. Obviously at this stage it's still just an npm project, but obviously I've got all these dependencies here. These are just where these things have been installed. But what I want to do now is to, and this is TypeScript itself that we just installed. So what we want to do now is to now obviously just go and initialize this project into probably convert it now, if you like, into a TypeScript project. So how are we going to do that? So we can just use something like npx. If you haven't got npx installed, but just use that. These are the basic options or default options that I quite like to use, and these will capture everything else that you really want. Otherwise, if you haven't got like a preference or anything, you can just type npm ts init. That should be enough, but that will give you it will just switch on all the defaults for you. I don't like all of those defaults, so for me, I just do that. This will then go and create this TS config and just it will give me all of the basic options that I've just switched on, right? So as you can see here, it's just gonna root directory is going to be source, module is command.js, and this is ex2 2026. I mean, if you want, you can upgrade this to whatever it is, but I quite like to leave it to whatever it has given me. And again, resolve JSON module, allow this. These are just the output directory. Should go to build and ex module interloop true, strict true, no implicit true is true, and obviously the last one, skip lib check, is true. So these are all the options that you can uncomment and use, but for now I don't think they hold water for me. I don't really want to bother with them. So now that I've done this, now just converting this now to obviously, because if you go here you can see that I have said that my output directory will go to build, a directory called build. And also if you look at my input directory or source code directory, root directory here is going to be source. Because of that, I'm just going to create a source directory here. You can call it whatever, this doesn't really matter, but you can call it whatever you like. I'm going to call that, I'm just going to create this, and I'm going to create index folder, index file here. So index.tx here. It's not really a must, but for me, I just do console.log, and I'll start to do my TypeScript thing really. So an example is I can just go here and just say hello world. Now that this hello world is created, I think the next thing I need to do is to compile it. And once I compile this, I can just it would obviously, as you know, TypeScript will transpile into the JavaScript, the common JavaScript. So if you do that, it will just transpile. This is basically how to set that up. How do you do that? For me, easily. So long as I'm within here and I've got that TSC installed, I can just say npx TSC, and if I do that, if I say npx, if with npx, it means that I haven't got it, it's just doing it globally. But if I say tsc, it will find it and it will do it for me. But you don't necessarily have to do this all the time. I will show you how we can set it up properly. So here it is. It will just take this, convert it into the JS folder here, and you can see, and you can just run this now if you really want to run that. So that's that. That's what obviously what you can do. But what I want to do now is I have set this up. Now if you're writing TypeScript, it's easy for you. Just begin to write things, create your class and things, and just go on. But for this project, what I want to do is to use this project and convert it to I want to convert this project to Cypress project. So what are we going to do? Well, the first thing we need to do is to install Cypress actually. So now I'm just going to do npm install. I'll just say Cypress, latest save dev, like that. I'll just press and enter this. We just put Cypress in there. Okay, so this is Cypress now installed. So if I go here, you can now see that there is Cypress, obviously the latest as at the time of recording is 13.15.1. So that's Cypress installed. So what do we need to do to convert this thing now? Well, automatically, I don't even need all these other things now. So obviously I just put this just to describe or show you how to use, obviously, how to use TypeScript. But what I'm going to do is to go here and initialize TypeScript. So what I'm going to do is npx and I just need to run TypeScript. So I'll say Cypress. You can run this and this say Cypress open. Obviously, if you don't want to do this, obviously once you've installed Cypress comes bag and baggage and stays in this location bin, and you can see this Cypress binary. So I mean, if you don't want that, you can just set this up yourself as well. Like for instance, myself who is on a MacBook, I can just create a new command here. So I can just say sci open, obviously. So here is a script. So I'm just going to do sci open or whatever you want to call it. So for me, I like to call it sci debug. And here I'll just go here and just say and I will say here, and I will run npm run, and I will say Cypress open, right? Sorry, this is no, I don't need npm, just do Cypress open. It would just target it and just open up the Cypress. That's one way of doing that. This Cypress open would open it up on a MacBook at least, or something like Linux. But if it is things like Windows, so you can just have Cy like that and just say let's say debug, and if it's window, you can just do that. I quite found out that Windows sometimes is always crazy with the path. So for me, for window, I usually just go and say node underscore module, node underscore modules, which is here. Just reference this directory. Within this directory, there's slash bin. So I'll just say /bin / and then I'll just say Cypress open. Like this one would work for window, but I'm not in window. I am on this I am on a MacBook machine, so but just telling you that just in case you want to do something different. So in that case, now I don't need to run this. I can just run this, but now since I have the command, I can just run npm run, and I will say sci debug. Yeah, press and enter. It should find it, and it should say that this is the first time I'm running Cypress. So you can see it's just trying to spin up, and this comes up. It is not configured. So let's first of all talk about Cypress and E2E testing. So I'll just click on this. It gives you this automatically, but you can kind of see now that this will now be saying whatever it's going to give you by default to be cypress.config.ts, so .ts. So now it knows that we are talking about TypeScript project. But if you didn't configure that, it will just give you .js. What's your default one? Just pick any of the default browsers. For me, I'm going to pick, let's pick up Electron browser. Here we go. So the next thing you just say, do you want to create an empty spec or just scaffold? So you can scaffold just to have like templates and examples you want to start with. Here are those examples. If you click on this will get things running. There you go. So these are default tests that comes with the project. Anything you really run here would execute itself, but I just obviously run one so you can kind of see that these things are working.